My wife and I had just moved into a quiet neighborhood far away from the noise of the city. We thought we were finally settling down for peace and quiet. What we didn't know was that this neighborhood had an HOA that took itself way too seriously. They even had their own so-called HOA police, a couple of men who walked around acting like they had authority far beyond their limits. One evening, my wife was unloading groceries from the truck when one of these officers marched up. He started barking at her about unauthorized vehicles and neighborhood compliance. My wife, calm as ever, explained that this was our truck, parked in our own driveway. That should have been the end of it. But instead, the man got aggressive. He demanded ID, like he was running a checkpoint, and when my wife refused, he reached under his jacket and pulled out a handgun. Now, most people would have frozen in that moment. But my wife is not most people. What the HOA enforcer didn't know was that my wife is active duty Delta Force. She has served in places he couldn't even point out on a map. She's trained to handle situations far worse than this. With one swift move, she disarmed him before he could even think about raising that weapon. The gun was on the ground, and he was pinned against the hood of his own golf cart, staring wide-eyed like a kid who'd just seen a ghost. My wife didn't raise her voice, didn't gloat, didn't make a scene. She just told him, "You don't point a weapon at anyone, especially not on my property." By the time I walked outside, the man was already calling for backup on his radio, his voice shaking. A second HOA officer rolled up, saw his buddy pinned, and immediately backed off. He knew they were way out of their league. Real police arrived minutes later. Let's just say the look on their faces when they learned my wife's military credentials was priceless. The so-called HOA cops were arrested for impersonating officers and brandishing firearms without, 'cause the neighborhood was buzzing for weeks. But after that day, nobody from the HOA so much as looked in our direction again. Peace and quiet returned to our home. One thing is certain, the HOA police learned the hard way that intimidation has no place here, especially when you pick the wrong person to mess with. Asterisk for more interesting and heart-touching stories. Hit the subscribe button now.